Glad my semicolons don't suck. Who thinks like a duck? Who has seen a duck walk? Hmm? Did Michael J. Fox play a Chuck Berry song and add another type of duck walk with a guitar? I know I phrased it that way because I can, being hooked on phonics and all that grammar background from my focused attention to my art. I had to use that sentence. I had to force that sentence to end. But who doubts that with commas and many other linguistic tricks shown to me, that I could keep writing until I'm out of ink, but still continuing not out of ink now. Wow, we're going to get talking about a lot of different things in languages tonight, and how it ties into this storm of judgment that is righteously being placed. Welcome, everybody, to Mudflood was Armageddon. The Mudflood was the Armageddon. Don't let them tell you anything else unless they're willing to debate you in a fair and honest way. And this jacket was $40 at the local thrift store. You just got to pray and go and get it. A soy-free thought is better than a soy-induced thought. So maybe somebody that's looking for a book to read, right there. Let's go here. I'm going to be showing some videos and not going to want to step on anybody's toes. A lot of things are going to be said here. You know the deal. Check with everybody else. A big part of my life is coming up, because the militant feminists, we're fed the cross-dressing militant feminist. Well, she was a militant feminist who was recommended by Bill Richardson, one of the guys who, I guess they thought it was a privilege to fly on the Lolita Express to the Lolita Island. She, 2.5 years leading Adam State in a short leave of absence, she resigned. And the board just said, oh, go ahead. Well, you know what? The residue of militant feminism and the LGBTQ is still alive and well, and they've been messing with this veteran. That's a big part of my future. Any other pictures I had up that I wanted to show? This is the thumbnail. That's Earth in the center. This is the math that Pythagoras, Ptolemy, heads up on that one. We're coming at it. We're going back right at it. Nope. I do have some pictures, few pictures. What have I been doing today? Sure had a good show. Thank you, Sergio, for replaying that show I did yesterday. What does this say? And mark this well, Roosevelt says, when an epidemic of physical disease starts to spread, the community approves and joins in a quarantine of the patients in order to protect the health of the community against the spread of the disease. War is a contagion, whether it is declared or not. Wow, from the Chicago Tribune, 1937. I clipped that picture. Sometimes I'm reading stuff and I'm thinking, I know somebody will want to hear that later. And Luther, the truther, if you're here and haven't chimed in yet, we're going to be talking about the exclusion zone in water. I know that's one of your favorite things when I get after that, right? Indus legacy of water and life Look at that. Man, that meant something to me when I popped that one out. It was this. It was all, wow. Okay, so that really is it. I thought I had more. Oh, there's one. Here's the president. I don't want you to think that the quarantines and stuff are over. That's part of the judgment. This weather event that was prophesied in, oh boy, from February 4th to where, like, hey, it's going to hit February 6th, right where the X was marked. And what a year of the United States going bankrupt. Look at that motorcycle they got back there in the 30s. Is badass one word or two? Because I got one word for that if it's one word. Badass. Not him. So they would have us believe he's riding with the Roman Catholic case. We don't want to miss any of the details. Now that's Dick Tracy. That looks like they put a chin on him because they wanted to make it look like he had a chin. But they had the whole media. Nobody knew that he was in a wheelchair. I'm not making fun of him like he's in a wheelchair. Look at that, looks like Adolf Hitler. That mustache was in style, I guess. Oh, I'm going, look at those other pictures. And there's that. Okay, so you were going to see that no matter what. This is another one by the same guy with the Earth in the center. And I think he was doing it saying, like, look, if you're saying it's a globe, then you're going to need all of these circles or something, man. And the thing is, that guy Ptolemy, he can make the math work with anything. It's like, if you want it to be a globe, as long as the Earth's in the center, it works like this. Something like that. This isn't even main topic tonight, but it's still interesting. And so there's Saturn on the outside, Earth in the center. This is their astrology stuff. I don't know what, maybe they just paid him to figure this one out too. Who knows what's going on? You're not going to get much truth out of it. At the time, a reform of the Julian calendar was considered necessary and was one of the major reasons for the church's interest in astronomy. Copernicus, the first general vision of the heliocentric. Now that's the sun-centered crap that Galileo Galilei, got thrown into jail. Of course, his jail was the room next door to his boyfriend, the Pope. It was called house arrest. Oh, yeah. So when they were deciding they were going to switch it to a globe to blow your mind, the Julian calendar was messing with their mind. The Copernican revolution, a paradigm shift away from Ptolemaic model of the heavens, the earth-centered truth. And that's when all of a sudden, here we go. Isaac Newton, Johannes Kepler. He was smart. He hooked up with Ptolemy and then stole everything and changed it in, saying, I believe with, now who was it? Tycho Brahe, eclipses of the sun. There's a lot of stuff to study here. But the Copernican revolution, paradigm shift, that's what's important. Earlier today, I was just watching Texas, Dickinson. This is where I lived in there when I was recovering from when the ampufugal lymphocanosis And one of us jumped out of a window doing some parkour and did break their calcaneal bone in 3 places, but still, it was like doing pouring out distilled water on me, saying, "Go into the ocean and take my sweat. This is for." Wow, it was a crazy time. I know that some of you probably remember it better than I do. And I don't want to be Paul. So now he's on there going to talk about soul in the belly, gut health and the spirit. And it had the a thumbnail that, basically, showed the calls of the kidney. And we'll be looking at that. Oh, I took a screenshot. I did the stones cry out, the gut, not heart this time. And, told how, always remind that, the calls of the kidney and salt were always included in the meat offering. So, hey, here's our world we're living in. Do you think it's a righteous judgment or not? Whose side are you on? This is a judgment, or no, it's not a judgment. We can still fix it. Whose side are you on? Okay, there's a progressive moment in global politics. They say it's over as of this morning. They're not going to have time to push the people. Now's the time. If anybody wants to help, come to Adams and ask them, why did you hire this person that was recommended, and it's this, that. It's not like she was the president of another university before she came to Adams State, or she stayed in control of university as a vice president. Oh, somebody snatched her up. No, according to the report, she's a caustic presence that picked on women that chose not to be lesbians. Isn't that crazy? Hey, man, we're going to get into some exclusion zone tonight. Who thinks I'm kidding? Okay, that's not the exclusion zone. That's for later. Exclusion zone in physics, large stratum of water. But it's not first. This is first.
Important books in the history of science. The Almagest. The Almagest is a 2nd century astronomical treatise by Claudius Ptolemy that systematically presents the geocentric model of the universe. That is, that the Earth is the center of...
I paused it so you could see his shirt. I don't know how much money the mathologist spends on his shirts, but this was particularly funny because, there's a sine and a cosine. Somebody made it a cow sign, and they put legs and spots on the cosine. That's pretty good.
Life, the universe, and everything. One seems to have fallen through the cracks. My main mission today is to let the world know about Reiner's amazing proof. My other mission is to tell you why Ptolemy's theorem is so important, beautiful, and fun, and why it is really a crime not to tell kids about it in school. To set the scene, let's have a look at one of the most important books in the history of science, the Almagest. The Almagest is a 2nd century astronomical treatise by Claudius Ptolemy that systematically presents the geocentric model of the universe. That is, that the Earth is the center.
Earth's the center. He's pretty smart.
Of life, the universe, and everything. For over 1,000 years, the Almagest remained the authoritative reference for astronomical knowledge and calculations in both the Western and Islamic worlds. Just think about it. A book in print and used for over 1,000 years. Mind-boggling, isn't it?
I thought you guys would think that's pretty cool. So this is just the introduction.
Anyway, I just thought it would be good to hammer right from the beginning how big a deal Ptolemy is and what a scandal it is that most of you will never have heard about any of this in school or anywhere else.
Yeah, it's because it doesn't matter how smart he is. He's a flat earther, man. So oops, he's not going to make it. But this is the main takeaway.
All right, first fact. In a cyclic quadrilateral like the one over there, opposite angles add to 180 degrees. Always. Did you know that? There, those two angles, they add to 180 degrees. Same for the other pair of opposite angles. Looks convincing, at least in the case of this particular cyclic quadrilateral. But why is this always the case? Why do opposite angles in a cyclic quadrilateral always add to 180 degrees? Let me show you how you can see this at a count. What about the converse of Ptolemy's theorem, right? Start with 4 points in the plane, calculate all the distances between these points. Now, calculate the sum of the products of opposite sides, as well as the product of the diagonals. Now, let's say these two numbers are equal, as they really are in this case.
Don't be impatient.
Does this
Wait.
imply that the 4 points are in a circle? Well, turns out this is really the case. AA plus BB equals CC implies that our 4 points form a cyclic quadrilateral. Great. So next time your life depends on deciding whether 4 points are in a circle, you know what to do. Quadrilateral here are not all contained in a circle. There's only the one circle over there that contains all 3 yellow vertices, and then the red vertex is not where.
Anyway, math isn't as hard as they make it out to be. Now, in real physics and math, when they talk about an exclusion zone being a large stratum, and then tell you that typically on the a few microns to a millimeter, you realize what you think of large isn't always large when you're talking about water, pure liquid water observed with particles of other materials in suspension are repelled. Pure water, and something in the water changes. Observations of the exclusion zone next to water plants that shed water. Water is not attracted to them. They're hydrophilic surfaces. Some research groups have reported the observation of exclusion zone next to metal surfaces. Now, kind of new in the 1970s, they were going over some things from walls of containers, and a lot of these things that other people knew for sure just came into it, and it was that fourth state of water. It's why I want to do it. It's why I want to study it, even though for 4.5 months now they haven't let me do it. They know I want to study it, and I have a feeling God's going to let me. But the exclusion zone, so we're going to get into that one now. What do we have here? Does anybody doubt the Bible? What are the biggest lies? Well, Jesus didn't fulfill his promises. He didn't come back when he said, and Israel right now needs, they call that the real Israel, and they never took the promised land. That's their thing. But let's see. The Lord gave to Israel. Now, the full Joshua chapter 21, verse 43 says, "Thus the Lord gave to Israel all the land that he swore to give their fathers, and they took possession of it and settled there." Verse 45 says, "Not one word of all the good promises that the Lord had made to the house of Israel had failed. They all came to pass, and they always will." So there it is. The Lord gave to Israel all the land he had sworn to give their fathers, and they took possession of it and settled in it. One of the big arguments of dispensationalism is that that's why they need this Israel. And I guess they've been working for this Zionist thing since the late 1600s, maybe early. Not one of all the Lord's good promises that he had given the family of Israel, not a single one everything he had spoken had and will always come true. And now this leads to the Mississippi, but honestly, this is Tommy from Texas. People who, you know, if you still communicate with him, call and see how he's doing, because they got it bad. And even one of the storage reserves for the oil reserves of our nation got hit and blown over. They said, well, the oil's still on the ground. They can get it back, you know, but they're having 9, 10 tornadoes more. Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and they're still going. This is cloud cover above. That's the path that it's going to take.
Kate, or convective available potential energy. That's the rocket fuel that fuels these supercell storms. This is a gas station. Oh, shit, we're in
it. Well, that's what storm chasers do. So, all, you know, it's just been a gradual bankrupting of our country through the insurance mostly. Mississippi's not doing too good.
Everybody okay?
Unfortunately, not everybody was okay. Now, we're going to get back into a lot of stuff, but this is important. And it's why I wrote that long, crazy introduction with, you know, the tribe that defies language rules. Now, this is a man that walked away from his family because he went to study the Piraha, and they convinced him that because of their language and they never evolved words for this and that, and he couldn't defend his Bible to them. And after 25 years of ministry, he quit being a minister, became an atheist, and decided to write a paper that Noam Chomsky doesn't know what he is talking about when it comes to language.
Try to explain a number of the unique characteristics of the Piraha language.
Piraha.
I had no idea when I started writing this paper that it was going to be controversial to the degree that it was.
Daniel Everett had just picked a fight with the father of modern linguistics.
Wow, did you know Noam Chomsky? This is from 2013. All dramatic.
And as I reflected on all of these things, it eventually led to the abandonment of my own faith. An end like that. I mean, we got married when we were 18, but much more difficult to me was the fact that my children didn't speak to me for 2 years. And even today, they struggle with some things based on how radically I've diverged from the father that they thought I was in terms of my beliefs.
It was a social anthropology, but can't have anything to do with the nature of language. It just doesn't make any sense.
I had people sending me hate mail, accusing me of racist views.
And I think it's a move that many, many intellectuals make to get a little bit of attention.
I was appalled when I read that Chomsky had said that Dan was a charlatan. I know both these people, and that is not right. That is unacceptable.
The reason there's so much fuss is really
catfight in the academic world. Somebody's questioning him.
Saw Mary. And now we want to make that part of a larger sentence. John said that Bill saw Mary. But for this to be recursion, we have to be able to keep going. So we might want to say something like, John said, that Bill said, that Mary said, that Peter said, that Irving bought a house. And that is true recursion, the ability for a sentence to just keep going on forever. If in a language you can show there is a largest sentence and you can't make it any larger, that language doesn't have recursion. And Piraha is
Oh, what? Piraha. He's talking about this island where he lost his faith. Universal grammar. Noam Chomsky helped them.
Dominated linguistics for more than 50 years.
In the modern sense, universal grammar is just the theory of the genetic component of the language faculty. That it
Blah, 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 blah.
some mysterious gene that somehow crept into our evolution. If so, that's worth knowing.
So I'm going to skip, West Texas, I looked it up earlier today. Lived right pretty much, did a couple of Frisbee tosses to that old theater. It was a kit town, and it had the original capital of Texas. West Columbia. Crazy. So we're not coming back to that one. We'll be looking at what he was talking about, recursion. I know you guys want to see like a modern representation. You can thank Wikipedia for the small picture. What's the dross effect? But I want to stay on the language thing. Because last night after we hung up, RJ called up to like, hey, what's going on? Did you look at that language? He wanted to be like, get into the language. So I did. And I want to get that out of the way, because it turned out to be really interesting. Because as I was reading here, according to their languages, so I'm gonna open that up in a new link and go backwards, and let's read this verse. These are the sons of Shem, according to their clans, languages, lands, and nations. Okay. And what is that? That was this. Tongue, language, speech. According to his language. According to his language. According to his... And then in Exodus. But I'm not seeing anything in Genesis 11 where God confounded the language. Right? That's not showing up. What did I pull this one up for? Okay, so this is the one-time use in 11 where God went down to confound their language. Sapatam. Wow, look at all these other words that can mean language. This specific word was confused. RJ's doing all that family New Year stuff. Otherwise we could... What did you want me to look this up for, man? Obviously, it had to be something weird like this. But we needed to point it out. I needed to show it out. Here it is. There's two different languages. Lip language. The same language and the same tongue. So this is all about that language. They always had this. And I guess after that, this was what was going to, this is our language. It's recursion. Some people understand recursion, and here it is on the seashore. Translated it, not language. Cows on the brink of the river. Speech slips. Of course, I mean, these are a lot of words that they translated shore language, but we know what that one word means. No. We've seen enough of this.
For Everett, the detail of how Pidahar culture affects grammar lies in their fixation with the present. This preoccupation, he claims, produces a grammar with only a present tense.
We don't really know that. And for all we know, Noam Chomsky could be right. This guy coached them. He was their only contact. He speaks their language. He was not giving them the correct gospel. Maybe they're a logical people and they could say, you know, well, if Jesus said he came back in that generation, why didn't he? They try to explain it to people that don't have a dog in the fight. They're going to go, what? So recursion, that was the big deal. If they can't do this, then they don't have recursion. That proves Noam Chomsky's stupid and I can lose my faith and my family still has to respect me. No, they don't. Recursion is used in a variety of disciplines ranging from linguistics to logic. The most common application of recursion is in mathematics and supercomputers. What? Computer science, where a function being defined is applied within its own definition. Wow. Recursive. Video playback displays recursive images, as does an infinity mirror, as does, we'll look at this. You see, that's a picture of a woman holding a tray, and it's a box of her. Is that sixes or G's? Just embellishment. Pointillism. That was a fad when? The infinity mirror. It would go on forever. The aurora boreas is recursive. That powder, sourdough, is recursive because you have to add some of the old bread. Here's the Toronto Recursive History Project. They want to get that figured out, whatever that is. There's a fractal that is something to recursion. They make a pretty big deal out of it. These nesting dolls are recursion, recursive dolls. Somehow this gives them permission to do quantum physics? Huh. Recursive. A terminating scenario that does not use recursion to produce an answer. A recursive step. A set of rules that reduces all successive cases towards the base case. Fibonacci sequence. Where would they be without this? And our language. There's a couple of different languages that all started after the confusion. That's what the Bible says. So this is somehow that Esther, that guy that does those weird paintings, he's into the Drossel effect. I can't see it because it's so small. The kid is looking at himself inside a picture. Weird. So, and, you know, when did this guy live? All right, to 1972. So he was in on it, 71, 72. Everybody likes his pictures. Alhambra inspired. Looking into a globe. These are the more like it. Where's that one of him walking up the stairs where the stairs keep going up, you know? So the Drost effect is the recursive appearing within itself, named after a Dutch brand that, well, there you go. There's a new one on me. So we get a lot of this. Baking powder, baking soda. They keep telling me I got to learn about the differences of that. So what is this? What is this? I have to click off that.
Share how God called me out of the darkness and brought me into his marvelous light. I'm going to talk about sexual abuse, drug and alcohol addiction, the occult, the new age, eating disorders, self-harm, and a bunch of other.
What is this? Some video I did some time ago. I might have mentioned Las Vegas in this because I got sent something from RJ about, I think I have it pulled up and saved, about the shooting in Las Vegas where they cleared off the whole, the Mandalay Bay thing. Say hello to, again, Matt G, Bob Marley. So this is there was a time, there was a whole different crowd watching my videos before the COVID. And supposedly this is a real picture of Bugsy Siegel, or no, one of the Spilatro brothers bribing a cop with bullet holes in the door hanging out. Movies and became a big recluse. So we got big money with the recluse here. We got missing people, missing money, money bags laying around. Where's Howard Hughes? Where's all his money? Somebody got it. What do we got going here? Ella's on the show. This was all, nothing was going to stop this judgment. And I'm glad that, it's the Rosicrucian thing.
Successful in war. The Charter had been successful in war. Charter has 111 articles and is less easy to understand than the Convent of the League of Nations. But the Foreign Secretary, speaking in debate in the House of Commons, said he would like to see the main items reproduced in suitable form, placed in every church, every parish, and every hall, and all the places.
Well, that's what they wanted, and that's what they got, because Satan is forming nations and getting it the way he likes it. Now, this book, the most important math book, the one that, the stars, the planetary paths, basically canonize these, Earth as the center for what they say is 1,200 years. This is all part of it. They millstoned us. The Lord has opened the eyes of some people. So who are you, they watch out for the quantum physics bomb with the 90% dark matter, 97% dark matter makes up everything, but you can't see it. But for our math to work, it has to be there. Don't buy it. You don't have to. So it's what's going to happen in 2025, 2026, eventually. It's going to be another virus. It's going to be another unprecedented. In fact, the toolbox government and public health authorities turn to in a bid to save lives and avoid wholesale collapse of hospital capacity is one that was devised hundreds of years ago: quarantine. Forced quarantine. The word has Italian origins, 40 days, then we're still going on things where, 37 days is what they thought 1,200 years ago. Keep them in their ships if they look sick. Don't let them come into our town. Somehow they made it for a long time. Remember the Mahindaharo sewers and everything else? They had plumbing and then they didn't. Big stink. We don't know what to do. Well, I should have saved one of these things, here is that, run its course according to, the Hippocratic Oath guy. Wait 40 days because it's 37 is what he taught. St. Nicholas Fort, the late 1600s, how to quarantine. Because they wanted to fill up the old cities to act like, to not have to explain them away. Like, well, they've been people living here continuously with a few fires and earthquakes. Oh, yeah. No, they haven't. And when we're not them, we go to those cities and we don't know how to hook up their sewers, you're going to get the big stinks. You're going to get the choleras. And it's going to be unavoidable. So they say it's a short history. Of course, that's Nova. Venetian model held sway until the late 1800s. Wow. But good thing they've got it all figured out now, and we can trust them. This is a part of your future. This has always been a part of everybody's future and past. Yeah, you had a little run there where, you heard about it, this and that, and other people were, but now it's real, right? Now it's kind of like the history they're selling. It's and our history that we believe is full of this. And it's not going away. It's not over. This is sometimes desperate times call for desperate measures. Is there anything that makes you want to think they're just going to lay down and roll over and go, wow, we got exposed? Hey, you lived in that house for 2 or 3 years and then they let her out. And then they moved her back in a few years later for the rest of her life, another 20 years. Right. Typhoid Mary, that's her house. Mary Mallon, quarantined in that shack from 1907, 1910, and then again from 1950 until her death in 1938. Tuberculosis, Typhoid Mary. Once things get started, sometimes, well, they'll just quarantine you, man. You're getting pretty 86, 90, 2001. Anthrax got stolen from a lab somewhere in, 2003, 2004. I think this article is from around 2004. Did it say? Yeah. So, hey, there's been a few more since then. by just filling in the past for you here. Plague ships, New Orleans yellow fever. I remember seeing a map of it. The yellow fever just swept right through it. Many states were still in lockdown. This is from 2020. You know, just how they got us used to like saying, oh, don't worry, you're going through a lockdown and for a novel virus. And it's happened before. Oh, they didn't like it. Somehow they didn't like it. And they had a riot. Mandates. Money. Move the people. Move the people into the towns and you're going to have trouble with the yellow fever, tuberculosis. A lot of parallels in 2020. They were just letting you know it's going to be part of your life for the rest of your life. Part of your life for the rest of your life. Yellow fever was mostly endemic to urban areas. It did appear in rural areas, but was much less common there. I didn't look at that. Maybe I should have. You got a good graph here. I was expecting a graph. No graph. Back to the quarantine in the desert. Queensland, Australia. There's one. Well, that's a big one. We'll never get done. We just stay on that one forever. Huh. Confounding though it may be, COVID-19 may have actually improved some health outcomes. Okay. Wow. Now, what are they talking about here? Natural shocks, assessing your brain on what happened to you. This is from 2020. Projections for a rough winter to come. I guess it was, wasn't it? And here we are. What are they doing? Oh, they're just getting in line into prison to, hey, what about us? Are we going to get inoculated? Here's somebody dressing with a face mask for a parade, the Festival of Cows. They still did it. He dressed like a cow. What's going to happen? Our flat rates, global burden since 1990, this has all been a part of our life. It's going to remain a part of our life. See, leading causes of disease, 1990. Number one, respiratory infections and tuberculosis, cardiovascular diseases, maternal and neonatal disorders, cancer, maternal and neonatal. Okay, so that still stayed up there. Respiratory. Somebody lost their job during COVID and killed themselves. This is crazy. Should be PG-13. People, I guess, are going to be, could be dangerous. Could be dangerous. What's this? Okay, so what are they learning here? Cholera. Life-threatening. It secretes diarrhea-infused enterotoxin. Cholera. Who wants to go move to the city? Had first pandemics, made all kinds of laws because unhealthy people, they have like I guess back in the day, they thought they had a miasma around them. Just being around them would make you sick. I don't know. Look at that. Massive health reforms in 1866. going to be ongoing. I don't think they're over. Don't you wish the United States was not $35 trillion in debt to other countries? We don't have time to get into that. So what is a typhoid Mary? Although unaffected by the pathogen, carriers can transmit it to others or develop symptoms in later stages of the disease. T-cell immunity. Now you can build up your own body. You got to sweat, stretch, and eat organic. She's in a hospital, she's in a house. Sorry, you're just a carrier. That's mentioned in there, persistent. You just wear them out. They can't heal. The things that, I mean, there used to be something called just a natural immunity. Public health acts, they're always going to be there. So that's what's happening now. 1800s, you got to do this. They need the people to live in the towns. We got to spend some money. They had to make it last until now. So here, are there any new emerging diseases? I guess so. Lyme disease jumped out at me there. Hepatitis, that's. See any other ones? Okay. Endoviruses, West Nile, Ebola, diphtheria, typhoid fever, human monkeypox. I've heard of that one right over there, human monkeypox. Where's Ukraine at? Is that Ukraine? No, it couldn't be. So I guess there are a few. History of it goes back to 1809. Well, I would think that his book would have to admit that they've had them for quite a while with those plagues and stuff and however long they've been around. But do they really want to know? Or is this somehow, has it been weaponized? Or is it sanitation or both? Are there certain people that are going to make it to 2046 and a whole lot of people who are not? Cholera, scarlet fever. It's like wandering tongue. Sore throat, malaise, and then staphylococcus. I saw that. Toxic shock syndrome, contact dermatitis. There's people that are, there's all kinds of canaries in the coal mines out there. You can get the smallpox, that was one that should have been knocked out. The last naturally occurring case was in October 1977, but they fixed it. The World Health Organization called it global eradication. We're glad we don't have to worry about that anymore, How about yellow fever? It's not like they're going to run out of options. 2013, 130,000 severe. More than half of them died in Africa. So we don't know, but we live in a small world now. Yeah, I know I'd hate to paint it, but they say it's smaller than it used to be. Typhoid fever, salmonella. A lot of times if you check with your doctor, but if has he told you to eat healthier and you didn't do it, because he kind of just was going through the motions and didn't say it's life or death? Living in a city and not taking care of it properly, you're begging for trouble. And trusting these people has not always been the best idea. Hey, that's Mary. This is right after they learned how to wash their hands in the 1860s, 1840s. When did they learn how to wash their hands? From doctors were doing autopsies and then going and delivering babies and wondering what's wrong. Well, they're carrying that. It's not good. Tuberculosis. That'll make you die slow. And so what do they mean they didn't have it? They found it in mummies. Wasting diseases. Sometimes people get wasting diseases. Time and again, humanity has suffered through large epidemics. $50 million. That's just too big. It's like sometimes they're, you know, I can't do that with that size. So worst outbreaks in history.
And because it's double helix, it has a wavy edge. And it is where excess energy is being pushed together and forced out in a vortex. Now, this is my radiation sphere with the vortex finger and the vortex wave, which is the circular band on the sphere. Now, the reason it has a jagged edge is because it has a torus ring on it, which is rotating. But it's only the filament edge that is rotating, not the entire tube. And so this finger, structured water science, and I'm going to take several pictures and explanations by the good doctor to show that any reason for structured water is radiant energy flow, which is vertical vortex, double helix finger, to a horizontal double helix wave, which can spin round into an Ouroboros torus field.
Wow.
So first off, I'm going to show the paper I've shown in my last video, showing the vortex finger and vortex, which would be your vortex finger with its pyramid top and all connected by rollover halo waves. So in the end, all energy travels in a vertical vortex to a horizontal wave, which becomes a horizontal halo wave, which becomes an Ouroboros torus, and so shows all movement.
Did that help at all? Wow. You know, this is just something back in the day I wanted, 3 years ago, still talking about. Before COVID, I was everywhere.
It's cool. They don't even, David Michael, I mean,
He wanted to get dropped off. When I had prophesied that a hurricane is going to hit New Orleans, he wanted to go. He didn't think it'd be that bad. Tommy took him. I took him. There was a lot of people that wanted to help me and then turned around trying to not help me. Seems like now, as I look back, I would not want to be those people that listened to other people and they were making up those things that, like what this school has done. They just messed around and they got in so much trouble. And it's not too late. There's all kinds of repentance. What's going on? This is from 7 years ago. where I ended up moving because Tommy from Texas moved there. Tommy from Texas, Fin Gap. And he bought a house. And his wife works in this area. And
They hope to get
they
the water
knew
number
this
up
was
to the point
coming,
people
but
might actually be able to take showers. No one here.
I think that everybody thinks that, well, that happened then. It'll never happen again to me, but they got such a good deal. They bought a house in this flood zone. And even though 4 years earlier than when they bought it, people hadn't been able to take a shower for a week.
Here has been able to have a shower or a bath for a week. You can imagine tempers are running a little short in some of the population here, and we've seen that too.
Yeah. I wonder, Anna, given what you just laid out with this temporary solution in place, is there any kind of time frame about when the city expects to have clean, drinkable water again?
Well, they have to get.
Wow. And let's look at what's going on and has been going on all day.
If I can get it to go. I think the program froze. Program has not crashed. Never mind. All right, this is the so that's the view now. The visibility has just dropped down.
8 hours. And in tomorrow it's supposed to be freezing.
North. This is a dangerous situation right now, though, for those in Hillcrest, Texas.
And this is, Alvin. Down here is where West Columbia was. And it just.
We definitely still have a tornado. And I mean, honestly, it's not even hitting that many things. There aren't that many homes in this area. There are a few, but really, once it hits Hillcrest, assuming the tornado is still in progress in Hillcrest, there are a lot more homes here right now. So we'll see what it looks like.
9 severe warnings, 2 tornado warnings.
Several homes that are right here on this roadway that could be hit by this in a moment.
All day. And there's still a couple of days of 2024
We
left.
have a new tornado warning for Cadwell County, Louisiana, and we also have this one here in Texas that is still a confirmed tornado. So this is still a tornado that is in progress. It's been on the ground for a little over, again, an hour.
Yeah, it's flipping down. Huge wedge, still down. Huge wedge. Okay. I can't get in trance too long here. These cars gotta. Stop! Stop! Turn around! Get out of here! God damn it! You're driving right now. Go that way! Turn around!
That is a huge wedge tornado. This might go tornado emergency. We got a massive tornado west of Brookhaven, Mississippi.
Come on! That was take down the trees, I think.
In any of these, near these warnings? In southwest Mississippi, a gigantic tornado is on the ground.
Big wedge!
This is a huge wedge tornado in southwestern Mississippi, west of Brookhaven.
Big fat wedge. There was a church. Yeah, it's flipping down. Huge wedge, still down. Huge wedge. Okay. I can't get in trance too long here. These cars gotta. Stop! Turn around! Get out of here! God damn it! You're driving right now. Go that way! Turn around!
That is a huge wedge tornado. This might go tornado emergency. We got a massive tornado west of Brookhaven, Mississippi.
Come on! You gotta go.
Oh
huge
my
wedge.
goodness.
Huge wedge.
I mean, this is huge.
Huge wedge.
And this is live.
Wow, it's right there.
You got 10 more seconds.
There it is. We're good. Big wedge.
Because Corey's on the other side over there.
Big wedge.
Corey said it's good over there.
That is spinning so fast.
Oh, that's right there. Look at that sting jet.
This is likely a violent tornado.
Here comes a guy the wrong way.
Taking down trees right in front of us. Taking down trees right in front of us. I gotta go.
This
in like
is an
2 seconds
emergency
here.
alert. A large and strong tornado is on the ground. Seek shelter immediately.
Oh
Big wedge.
my god.
Taking down trees still. Almost time to go. Wow, debris right there. We're good. We're good. We're good. It's right here. We're good.
The tower does not get taken down.
It's right here. It's right here. To the right. Debris field. We're in it. We're almost in it. It's right there. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Intense tornado right there. Taking out the barn. Listen to the roar. We're good. We're good.
I have no words. This is unbelievable.
And that was 5.5 hours ago, and it just continued to get them all.
If you are in this warning, seek shelter immediately, away from windows.
And I can't help seeing Yazoo City, Georgia, the state of Georgia one time ran all the way to the Mississippi, and it was the Yazoo land swindle. The United States has been begging for this, and it's here.
I haven't been able to show her for 2 reasons. 1, we have 9 tornado warnings, and 2, she's still sleeping, so it doesn't really matter. We'll have another rain.
So anyway, that's my world. I have, this video, just to show what I was 3 years ago. Not many people, but was talking about the calls of the kidney, the gut, and, is there something here? Is there a couple of different things break in different ways on this one? Compare it to other pancreases that I've seen before. Wow. Look, it's time for me to
store up violence and
that really, there is so much going on. There's not much of this year left. And it's time. It is time for you to know that this is true. This is what's happening. And if the United States doesn't make it, what are you going to do? Are you going to wait for somebody to show up and say, we're from the reorganized United States of America and we're holding out? Nobody's coming to our country to want our money. That 35 trillion is just going to be fine. I mean, you can go to the algorithm, and get the news from other places, like, the people that are for Ukraine, they'll have all of the news, Ukraine's doing good. If you're for Russia, you can get all of that news. Oh, I did have that. Anyway, I didn't get to the one thing I wanted to show about the Mandalay Bay. Then there's Ella right there and Mara. That is so nice to see you guys here. I do want you to stay tuned. Right now, I have to do some more studying. There's been a lot of praying and fasting, and there's going to be some eating in my future here. Thank you for staying with us. Be aware of what's going on and pray for me like I pray for you. And remember, it is a flat earth nation. The golden age is past because the mud flood was the Armageddon. After that 1,000 years where there was the reaping, and then there was a very little remnant with the orphan trains and all of these mysteries, but it is always going to be, are you one called, two chosen, three faithful? Me and my friends have your best interest at heart, and we're trying to prove it. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho. Aloha. Arrivederci. Ciao. Sayonara. Auf Wiedersehen. Nakame. Language.